You write a check for a new car. It feels completely safe to you. You own the steal outright. You pay exactly $0 in interest to the bank. You trade liquid capital for a depreciating liability. But your pride in being debt-free isn't protecting your wealth. It comes from a blind spot in capital velocity that drains your net worth by $31,400 every decade. We are universally taught that all debt is poison. By the end of this video, you will know exactly why holding a 6.5% auto loan makes you wealthier than writing a $40,000 check. Let me be clear about what this is and what it isn't. This isn't about dealership financing tricks. I am not telling you to sign an 84-month loan at 11% interest. Financing a $75,000 truck you cannot afford is just wealth destruction. This is about capital velocity. It is about the mathematical arbitrage of borrowing at 6.5% while your capital earns 10% in an index fund. Those are not the same thing. When you pay cash for a vehicle, you feel deeply secure. You eliminate a monthly payment immediately. You lock in total ownership of the metal. But you also permanently freeze $40,000 of liquid capital. That money can no longer compound. It sits quietly in your driveway. It loses $6,000 of its value the second you drive off the lot. Most people believe that owning things outright is the ultimate financial goal. That mindset fails completely when applied to machines that rust and degrade. We will map out exactly how that frozen capital costs you over decades. The math exposes the exact penalty of being perfectly debt-free. Let's build this from the ground up, because every part that follows depends on it. Capital velocity measures how efficiently your dollars move from a stagnant state into an earning state. Think of your money like water behind a hydroelectric dam. Water sitting still in a reservoir generates exactly zero power. Water flowing constantly through a turbine generates continuous electricity. When you purchase a $40,000 vehicle with cold cash, you drain your reservoir entirely. That specific capital stops generating returns immediately. You bind it to a machine that mechanically loses 15% of its value in the first 12 months. The one rule governing modern wealth creation is the spread. The spread is the exact mathematical difference between what capital costs to borrow and what capital earns when invested. Let us apply this to your driveway. The dealership offers you a 6.5% interest rate on a 60-month auto loan. A standard S&P 500 index fund returns an annualized average of 10.2% over long time horizons. Your spread is 3.7%. That 3.7% difference is your velocity engine. Most buyers look at the 6.5% loan and see an enemy. They run the basic calculator. They see that financing $40,000 over 5 years costs $6,933 in total interest. They reject that penalty. They write the $40,000 check to avoid paying the bank a single dollar. But here is the part that doesn't show up in those headlines. We'll come back to why that matters, because it changes the whole picture once you see it. You must run the alternative timeline. You keep your $40,000. You put it in a standard brokerage account tracking the broader market. You sign the 6.5% auto loan. Over those exact same 60 months, your $40,000 compounds at an average of 10%. By month 60, your investment balance reaches $64,420. Now subtract the $6,933 in interest you paid the bank for the loan. You retain a net capital gain of $17,487. Writing the cash check secretly costs you $17,487 in destroyed opportunity. That is the actual price of your debt-free comfort. The steel in your driveway depreciates exactly the same way regardless of who holds the title. The only variable that changes is where your capital sits while the metal degrades. By keeping your money invested, you force compounding interest to absorb the cost of the vehicle. The first hidden force is the opportunity cost of unrecoverable expenses. Paying cash creates friction costs that vanish completely, while holding equities allows your money to compound continuously. You trade an appreciating financial engine for a declining physical asset. Every dollar you lock in steel represents a dollar that stops working for you. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 10%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $64,420. Now subtract $6,933 in auto loan interest. The real number you keep is $57,487. If you pay cash, your real number is zero. This invisible penalty remains completely hidden from the average buyer, who focuses entirely on eliminating a single monthly payment rather than tracking total capital growth. The second hidden force is phantom appreciation. You buy a popular truck. You believe the sticker price holds its value over time, but the net yield is effectively zero after operational costs. Vehicles require continuous insurance, maintenance, and registration. Those holding costs quietly erase your perceived resale value. Even if your truck depreciates slowly, the math betrays you. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 2%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $44,163. Now subtract $12,500 in insurance and maintenance costs. The real number you keep is $31,663. You lost money. This mechanical decay remains entirely hidden from the average buyer, who only calculates the final trade-in value without ever subtracting the continuous daily holding costs. The third hidden force is the leverage trap. An auto loan amplifies your carry costs if you manage your capital poorly. When you borrow money to buy a vehicle but fail to invest your cash, the leverage works aggressively against you. The bank extracts interest while your retained capital sits dead in a checking account. You face all the risk with none of the reward. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 0%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $40,000. Now subtract $6,933 in auto loan interest. The real number you keep is $33,067. This structural drain is perfectly hidden from the average buyer, who keeps their cash in a basic savings account, earning absolutely nothing. The fourth hidden force is the liquidity illusion. You think owning a car outright means you have immediate access to cash. You do not. It takes an average of 62 days to close a private vehicle sale properly. Dealerships take a 6% commission through hidden trade-in spreads. Price discovery is painfully slow. Your money is trapped in glass and metal. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 0%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $40,000. Now subtract $2,400 in hidden dealer trade-in spreads. The real number you keep is $37,600. This immediate friction cost is systematically hidden from the average buyer, who assumes their car functions exactly like an ATM they can access whenever they need cash. The fifth hidden force is the dividend reinvestment void. Equities automatically compound via dividend reinvestment. Vehicles require constant manual capital injection just to maintain their baseline condition. You must actively pay for tires, oil, and repairs. A vehicle never pays you a dividend. It only demands continuous capital extraction to prevent total mechanical failure. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 10%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $64,420. Now subtract $4,000 in manual capital injections for repairs. The real number you keep is $60,420. This constant drain remains completely hidden from the average buyer, who completely ignores the power of automatic reinvestment and only counts the initial purchase price of the physical machine sitting in their driveway. The historical record proves this exact mathematical arbitrage repeatedly. In 1982, the average auto loan hit 17.3%. A new Ford Mustang GT cost $8,308. Buyers panicked at the interest rate and paid cash. They drained their reserves to avoid bank fees. They traded compounding capital for a machine that lost 40% of its value in 36 months. Run the one number. You start with $8,308. The rate is 19.8% in the Vanguard 500 index. Over 5 years, that compounds to $20,490. Now, subtract $4,103 in auto loan interest. The real number you keep is $16,387. The cash buyers just kept a $3,000 used car. Move to the late 1990s technology expansion. In January 1998, a BMW 328i cost $33,000. Dealerships offered 7.5% financing. Buyers wrote checks to avoid the monthly payment. They locked liquid capital into German engineering while the market was accelerating. The car lost 55% of its value by 2003. Run the one number. You start with $33,000. The rate is 24% in Microsoft stock. Over 5 years, that compounds to $96,734. Now, subtract $6,664 in auto loan interest. The real number you keep is $90,070. The debt-free pride cost those cash buyers 5 figures in lost equity. We see the exact same penalty post-recession. In 2013, the Ford F-150 Lariat cost $42,000. Auto loan rates sat at 4.2%. Debt-averse buyers depleted their savings to own the truck outright. They ignored the exact mathematical spread available to them. By 2018, the truck's value dropped by 42% to $24,360. Run the one number. You start with $42,000. The rate is 11.4% in the SPDRS and P500 ETF. Over 5 years, that compounds to $72,075. Now, subtract $4,650 in auto loan interest. The real number you keep is $67,425. Writing the cash check destroyed $25,425 in pure mathematical arbitrage. Let me be completely straight with you. Arbitraging auto loan debt against equity returns is not for you. Not today. You need exactly $40,000 sitting in a brokerage account and strict discipline first. If your plan is to finance a vehicle at 6.5% and spend your remaining cash on a $4,500 vacation, this math destroys you. You isolate the debt without the compounding engine to absorb the cost. But I needed you to see it because the cultural obsession with eliminating low-interest debt blindly drains wealth. Understanding capital velocity is mandatory before you write a 5-figure check. There are 2 loud options and a third quieter one. The first loud option is the subprime trap. Buyers finance vehicles they cannot afford, using 0 down payments. They chase a lifestyle upgrade today. They accept an 84-month loan at 11% interest. Run the one number. You start with $0. The rate is 0%. Over 7 years, that compounds to $0. Now subtract $19,450 in auto loan interest on a $40,000 principal. The real number you keep is negative $19,450. The metal rusts while the bank extracts a guaranteed premium from your future labor. You trap yourself in negative equity from day one. You destroy wealth to fund consumption. The second loud option is the cash depletion. Buyers empty their investment accounts to purchase machines outright. They fear the debt completely. They drain their financial reservoirs just to feel secure in their driveways. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 0%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $40,000. Now subtract $15,000 in mechanical depreciation. The real number you keep is $25,000. The irrational fear of a 6.5% bank rate cost them 5 figures in lost compounding growth. They trade a wealth-building engine for decaying steel. The third quieter option is the arbitrage engine. Buyers keep their capital fully invested in the broader market while financing the physical asset. They harness the mathematical spread. They let compounding equity returns pay for the rust. Run the one number. You start with $40,000. The rate is 10%. Over 5 years, that compounds to $64,420. Now subtract $6,933 in bank interest and $15,000 in mechanical depreciation. The real number you keep is $42,487. You finish the loan term with more capital than you started with. This structural discipline costs nothing but time. The single most important thing in this video wasn't the 3.7% spread between an auto loan and an index fund. It was the mathematical objectivity required to evaluate capital velocity. That works on any financial decision, not just the metal in your driveway. We are conditioned to view debt purely as a moral failing. We are taught that eliminating a monthly payment equals financial security. That emotional conditioning blinds you to the math. It stops you from running the alternative timeline. Every time you deploy capital, you create an opportunity cost. A dollar locked in physical steel cannot compound. A dollar flowing through an equity market generates continuous returns. You must train yourself to separate the emotional comfort of ownership from the mathematical reality of yield. The wealthy do not fear interest rates. They measure them against expected returns. They use cheap debt to keep their own capital working. The moment you stop optimizing for emotional comfort, you start optimizing for net worth. You stop making decisions based on fear. You start making decisions based on the exact numbers sitting in front of you. That is exactly what we built for our members. Inside the vault, there is a capital velocity calculator that models auto loan arbitrage against historical index returns over 60-month cycles. The link is in the description below. But whether you ever touch the vault or not, take the habit with you. Measure the spread before you write the check.